Using equity to buy property, these are smart ways versus the stupid way. And 95% of Aussies get this wrong. I'm sure that you guys have heard of this before. Oh, because using equity isn't dangerous unless you do it like an amateur. Or you hear things from IG or TikTok influencers that say, oh, just pull out equity, use it to buy more property, get rich quick and very easy. And honestly, guys, that advice has ruined more Aussies than it has helped. Because let's be real, guys, equity is not your free money, right? It's just leverage. And when it comes to leverage, it cuts both ways. Because in this video, guys, I'll show you how using your home equity can really make you rich. And if done right, it's one of the smartest ways to grow your property portfolio. But then there's always a flip side to every coin, right? If done wrong, man oh man, it's like handing your bank a loaded shotgun and standing right in front of it with fingers crossed that they don't pull the trigger in your face. So yeah, today guys, in this video, we're unpacking one of the most misunderstood moves in Aussie property strategy. We're gonna look at how to use your equity to buy investment properties and how to do it without blowing up your future. In this episode of That Property Bros, we're gonna look at what equity really is and what most people get wrong. We're also going to look at the biggest mistakes people make when pulling equity from their property. Also, the smart investor-grade way to build wealth using equity. And also, on top of that, the hidden strategy only advanced super sane brokers, wink wink, use to protect you, these savvy investors, from future downturns. So if you own a property right now, I'm telling you guys, you can't afford to miss this video. So firstly guys, what even is equity? So for our lovely noob watchers out there, let's start off at ground zero. Your equity is basically the difference between what your property is worth and what you still owe on it. For example guys, your current home, it's worth, say for example, $800,000. And with the bank that you have a mortgage with, the home loan is $500,000. Now, if you do simple maths, you get $800,000 minus $500,000. Boom. That materializes to $300,000 in home equity. And right now, you must be crossing your arm and thinking, hey Q, that's pretty simple, right? But guys, there are two kinds of equity. Number one, just what you saw just then, that's called total equity. But there's a second type of equity that you need to know about, because the banks won't use your total equity. They will only use a thing called usable equity. And to put it to layman terms, this is the bit of equity the bank would actually touch. You see, for that $300,000 of net equity that you have, the banks will only use 80% of that equity. So to redo the math, it's a little bit more complicated than before. You get $800,000, which is the property that you own right now, and it's worth $800,000. You get that, and you times it by 80%. $800,000 times 80% is $640,000. Now, what you do right now is you subtract your debt, which is $500,000, which is your existing debt, and you minus that from $640,000. So you get $640,000 minus $500,000. That's $140,000 in usable equity. Now, here's where it gets more interesting. Here's where people start getting it wrong. In this second part of the video, I'm going to talk about the wrong way people are using equity. Now, at this point, like 99% of people who are watching this video, they are basically completely noobs. They'll be thinking, woohoo, free money. I can get my hands on $140,000 from the bank right now. And this is the part where most people who basically deal with bankers and maybe unscrupulous mortgage brokers that want commission, they'll be like, yeah, use the money right now. And those people that receive that information will be like, oh yeah, it's time to do dumb shit. For example, guys, oh, let's start renovating the kitchen with a marble from Italy. Or let's start using that money from the equity to take a family vacation to Europe for 6 weeks. Or the worst one I've seen, which was like 6 months ago, from a client that booked a call and go, oh mate, I really regret it. I used most of my equity to buy a jet ski. And you know what's funny? I looked at his address. I'm like, mate, you live 3 hours from the water. Why the hell you buy a jet ski? And according to Asset Consumer Report 2023, they have said, quote, many homeowners are over-leveraging their properties for non-income producing purposes. And this increases long-term financial risk for them, end quote. And this is my take, guys. If you're using equity to fund a lifestyle that you can't sustain, you're not really using that equity to invest. You're just gambling your future on today's dopamine hits. Thirdly, guys, the even worse way to pull out equity. And this is the most disgusting two-worded term in your property accumulation journey. And that's cross-collateralisation. Remember that. Cross-collateralisation. Ugh, even saying that makes me feel like I want to have a shower right now. Because cross-collateralisation is a very, very dirty word. On a day-to-day basis, I see it on multiple clients that come to me to unstructure this mess. Because this is where people let the bank tie multiple properties together in one tangled loan mess. Because I don't know whether you know, that is actually financial suicide if you do it. It's so messy to untangle. And right now you must be sitting there scratching your head thinking, hey Q, Why? What's so bad about cross-collateralization? Because what happens when you have two properties combined together by the banks, and if one property underperforms or you hit financial trouble, the bank can technically go after both properties. Or if you're dumb enough, I've seen some people combine 4 properties together in one loan with no clear boundary splits. Like, it's like playing poker and pushing your entire house on the table as collateral. Like, let me quote AFCA complaints data from their 2023 report. They have said, quote, cross-collateralized structures remain one of the most common points of dispute when borrowers face financial hardship, end quote. Like, I'm telling you right now, guys, in my brokerage for the last 15 years, we never ever cross-collateralize. We make sure that each property sits on its own standalone loan structure. Even if it requires us to do an extra application, more admin, and by the way, you don't pay us to do the loan. We actually do more work to get that commission from the bank. But we do it because I specialize in property accumulation. It makes the existing foundation cleaner, safer, and most importantly, fully under your control as an investor client. Because I'm telling you right now, guys, it takes extra work, like triple amount of the work, to get the same loan that is uncross-collateralized versus a loan that's cross-collateralized. And I see why most banks or even lazy brokers do it, because it's just a one application, done. But they don't think about the consequences after this transaction. And that's usually the method that I deal with on a daily basis when I help people unstructure that to build their property portfolio. Fourthly, guys, in this video, I'm going to move into the right way, the investor-grade equity strategy way that you should be doing. But again, not financial advice. So alright guys, straight to the point. This is how smart investors pull out equity to buy income-producing assets. So what we usually do on a day-to-day basis when we meet with clients that want to do equity release on their property so that they can produce that pot of money to be used towards the deposit and stamp duty to buy another property. For example, we have a $1 million existing property. The client only owns $500,000 on it. Now, technically, if you're not an accountant, a medical professional, or a legal professional, you can't get 90% no mortgage insurance. So we borrow at 80%. So 80% of $1 million, that's $800,000, right? Now, if this client owns $500,000, there's about $300,000 of equity. That's $800,000 at 80% of $1 million minus $500,000. That's $300,000. Correct? We're following, right? Next, he or she wants to buy another $1 million investment property. Now, the way we do it in our brokerage, we will first have that first loan at $500,000. That will be their owner-occupied property. What we do next is we'll create a new loan, which is for the equity cash out. That will be the $300,000. This loan will be purposed for investment purchases. And we do this so the debt over here doesn't contaminate with the owner-occupied debt over here. Then we create a third loan, which is the pre-approval loan, which is 80% on the new $1 million property. So technically, this is another $800,000 that they can borrow. So as you can see over here, property number 1, isolated to the debt over here. The new property number 2 over here, the potential property of $1 million, will be isolated here. These two securities are not offered to the bank as one collateral. Now, when you look at the paperwork that's behind this, it's double the amount of paperwork versus me just submitting one application, boom, 2 properties, cash out, purchase, all at one time. But the reason that we don't do that is when you go back to your accountant to leverage these type of debts for tax deduction purposes, for example, you're earning over $180,000, you're at a 45% tax bracket. If we mix in all these debts and cross-collateralize all these properties into one unit, let me ask you a question. When your accountant looks at that loan, he'll be looking at you and go, hey mate, which debt is tax deductible, which debt is owner-occupied? You'll mix that whole shit up. To quote ATO, they've said, quote, negative gearing claims have reached $20.6 billion in the last financial year, end quote. And let me tell you what, if you do this wrong, you'll be part of the rest of the dummies that didn't know how to structure their debt properly and therefore didn't get to claim part of that $20 billion of free money. Now, fifthly, guys, in this video, we're going to look at the advanced play over here. This is the proactive equity harvesting strategy that most of my clients use. Now, listen carefully, guys, because this is where most of the average brokers or bank staffs get it dead wrong. That's right, guys. Hear me loud and clear. You don't need to wait until your property peaks to pull equity out. Because according to CoreLogic RP data, they've shown in the past year, they've shown that Sydney suburbs have dropped by 14% in some pockets during 2023's mini corrections. So right now, on a 6-month basis with my clients, we try to proactively harvest equity before the peak. And right now, you must be scratching your head thinking, what do you mean by that, Q? So what we do right now, regardless of the timing of the market, the cycle of the market, every 6 months, we do a proactive valuation for our existing clients. And if they want, which 99% of clients usually do, is they release equity first on a separate loan account. Even if they have no use for it, they store it there. They just silo that debt and build up that equity there. We set it on interest only with an offset account, so they don't pay any repayments on it if they don't use it. And every 6 months, we build up this equity. And you know what the secret is, guys? After we build up this equity, even the client doesn't use it, and say 6 months later, their property drops in value, the bank can't take that money back. Haha, the bank can't take that money back. So what we're deploying in this strategy is we're building up equity on a very systematic basis that if one day you do need to use it, it's there. Versus, oh, let's do it later when the market is at its peak, and by the time we do it, oh, sorry, there's no equity. I'm sorry, you timed the market wrong. And they're like, oh, bro, I wanted to buy this property, but sucked in. I told you to pull out the equity 6 months ago. You didn't listen. And you know the whole process? It's free. I don't even charge you a fee to do it. But anyway, don't get me start ranting on those amateur investor clients. So right now, this is my savage opinion on this. If your broker or your banker isn't teaching you this kind of multi-cycle strategy, I'm telling you right now, you're not working with a broker. You're basically working with an application processor, a data entry officer. Oh yeah, you want a loan? Here's your loan. And that's it. So yeah, guys, if you watched to the end of this video, kudos to you. You guys are serious property investors. But let me tell you one last thing before I close this video. As of 2025 and next year, I'm telling you right now, equity is power, especially if you don't have money in your pocket right now. And if right now, if I asked you, hey, how much is your property worth? And you're like, I don't know. How much is your loan balance at the moment? I don't know. You're probably sitting on some golden eggs or some golden hidden sleeping treasure that you might be unaware of. So if you want to do a free valuation on your property and work out how much equity is in your property, I suggest you book a 15-minute strategy call or a 60-minute deep dive for me to build a holistic A-game strategy that doesn't involve cross-collateralisation or those lazy methods to get you a loan. And on top of that, I can pair you up with my financial planners, my accountants, and my respected buyer's agent that can independently give you the proper advice for you to end the generational curse in your family and build generational wealth. But hey, if you're not ready, hit the like button, hit the follow button for more videos like this, and most importantly, smash the share button. Share this knowledge to your mate because knowledge is power. Until next time, guys, I'll see you in another episode of That Property Roast.